Hey guys, it's Dan, and welcome to Danotaz Media, and on today's video, we will be reviewing FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works. For those who have never heard of FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works, the series is a 2014 Japanese anime adaptation of the Unlimited Blade Works route to the FateStay Night visual novel game. The series is one of many installments of the extremely popular and ever-expanding Fate franchise, and was adapted as a sequel to Studio Ufotable's previous Fate anime, Fate Zero. For those who would like to learn more about the Fate franchise, I highly recommend checking out my review video for Fate Zero, and also checking out this video by Red Bard explaining the entire Fate franchise. Also, fair warning, this video will contain spoilers for both FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works and Fate Zero. For those who have not seen either series and would not like to be spoiled, please click off now and return once you've watched both series. With that out of the way, let's continue with the review. Overall, I loved FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works. I thought it was an incredibly entertaining series and a great continuation to Fate Zero. The series itself is set during the 5th Holy Grail War of Fuyuki City, Japan, 10 years after the events of the 4th Holy Grail War during Fate Zero, where a group of 7 mages once again summon the 7 servants, Archer, Lancer, Saber, Berserker, Caster, Rider, and Assassin, to assist them in their fight against one another in order to claim the Holy Grail. Getting into what I like about the series, I personally really liked how FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works was able to distinguish itself from Fate Zero. Although it was adapted as a sequel to Fate Zero, Unlimited Blade Works definitely feels like its own thing, and it's dramatically different from Fate Zero in terms of tone, execution, and structure. Fate Zero had a very dark and serious tone, which helped drive home the fact that the series was about adult characters who were at war. However, Unlimited Blade Works, on the other hand, while still an action drama, has a much more lighthearted and fun tone to it. Think the average shonen anime with a little bit of slice of life added to the mix every now and then. I'll be honest when I say that I actually much prefer the execution of the individual episodes within FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works than I did Fate Zero. Thanks to a much greater use of magic within the plot of Unlimited Blade Works, Ufotable once again gets to showcase their mastery over blending 2D animation with CGI by taking the already stellar visuals and scenery they established within the Fate franchise and turning it up a notch, which as a result led to a much higher quality and quantity of amazing action scenes within the episodes. Plus, thanks to some longer runtimes for certain episodes, Unlimited Blade Works is able to better flesh out their story and provide audiences with a more fulfilling piece of Fate entertainment. The structure to FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works is also very different to that of Fate Zero, with a brand new cast of mages comprised of both newly introduced characters as well as older versions of the legacy characters established in Fate Zero, like Rin Tosaka, Shiro Emiya, and Eliasville von Einsburn. Like in the last Holy Grail War, Artoria Pendragon is once again the Saber of this war. However, the rest of the servants consist of brand new characters, with the old servants having been swapped out for other legendary spirits. So instead of Alexander the Great as Rider, Gilles de Rais as Caster, and Sir Lancelot as Berserker like it was in Fate Zero, in Unlimited Blade Works we get Medusa as Rider, Medea as Caster, and Hercules as Berserker. And unlike Fate Zero, which featured all adult characters with no clear lead, FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works features 2 leads, both of whom are teenagers. Meila Lee once again reprises her role as Rin Tosaka, who is now all grown up. In my last video, I credited Lee as one of the standouts in Fate Zero, but I've gotta say, she's even better here thanks to a much larger role, having been upgraded from a recurring character to a full-on lead. In Unlimited Blade Works, Rin is now a full-fledged mage, having inherited the Tosaka family crest after her father passed away. Because of this, the audience really gets a sense of how powerful Rin has now become, both in terms of magecraft and her intelligence. And while her character can come off as a bit arrogant at times, it's done so in a way that makes her character still incredibly likable and relatable to the audience. Then we have Bryce Papenbrook as Shiro Emiya. Now, I personally like Bryce Papenbrook and think he's a good voice actor, but as someone who watches a lot of anime dubs, I feel like Bryce Papenbrook is overcast within the industry. Now, a lot of that is just due to the fact that he has a really good agent, which is evident by the fact that he always gets cast series regular or lead. But for me, that tends to oversaturate his appeal as a voice actor, especially when I begin to think that some of those roles would have been better had they been played by other actors. However, I'm glad to report that this is not one of those cases, as I think Bryce Papenbrook was the perfect choice to play Shiro Emiya in the English dub of Unlimited Blade Works. Papenbrook provides a natural sense of charisma and likability to Shiro's voice that I've never heard in any of his other voiceover roles. It was something I found to be very appealing about Papenbrook's acting, and after watching Unlimited Blade Works, I'll even go as far as to say that Shiro Emiya is by far his best role since Red in Pokemon Origins. Next, we have Archer, voiced by Liam O'Brien. This character was so cool. Right off the bat, I gotta say that I love the fact that he's a real archer. One of the things that drove me insane about Fate Zero was the fact that Gilgamesh, Archer, wasn't actually an archer. All he did was shoot swords and spears out of portals. But Archer in Unlimited Blade Works actually sports a bow and arrow, and powerful ones at that. I'll also say that he's much funnier than Gilgamesh ever was, thanks to Liam O'Brien's amazing comedic delivery. Even though the twist regarding Archer's identity in Unlimited Blade Works is kind of obvious, I'm not going to give it away, as it's something that's best experienced in the moment. And speak of the devil, Gilgamesh, voiced by David Vincent, is once again a player in the Holy Grail War, but with a twist. After winning the last Grail War with Kire Kotomine, Gilgamesh became a human again, and he's retained all of his magic and abilities from his time as a servant. In this way, I actually think that Gilgamesh was much better utilized in Unlimited Blade Works than he was as an archer servant in Fate Zero. Given how Gilgamesh always seemed to hate being a servant in Fate Zero and having to follow the orders of his master, as the plot progressed, it became very entertaining to see what Gilgamesh's character was like without any of the restrictions he had as a servant. His cruelty and cold-heartedness are highlighted better than they ever were before, making him quite a compelling villain in FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works. And then the final character on my favorites list is Medea Castor, voiced by Megan Hollingshead. Never in my mind would I have ever thought that the voice actress for Nurse Joy in Pokemon would be able to pull off such a menacing villain. I much prefer Medea as Castor over Gilles de Rais due to the superior character structure she's given in Unlimited Blade Works. In the series, Medea is depicted as an incredibly tactical villain with a very intriguing backstory and motivation, and while the story does go a bit overboard with how powerful they make her, I actually don't mind it because it only makes her a more threatening villain, in my opinion. With the amount of praise I've given FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works so far, I know some of you might be surprised to hear that the show actually has quite a few flaws. Most of these problems actually come from the show's other characters, and while none of them are problematic enough to outweigh the show's strengths, they're still notable enough for me to address in this video. First on the list of disappointments is Artoria Pendragon's Saber. Just like in Fate Zero, Artoria Pendragon has incredible screen presence, and Kari Walgren's phenomenal voice work in the English dub only adds to the character's already striking vibe. But I don't think the character was as well utilized in the writing for FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works. Just like in Fate Zero, Artoria still has incredible fight scenes and great chemistry with her fellow co-stars, but for some reason, Artoria is given a more passive role in the story. To me, this is a real shame, given her past experience as Kiritsuku Emiya's servant in the last war. She could have progressed the plot in Unlimited Blade Works in so many different ways, whether it be through her battle strategy or her interactions with Kiritsuku's son Shiro. But unfortunately, Artoria's past during the Fourth Holy Grail War is barely addressed in Unlimited Blade Works, and her character half of the times gets regulated to nothing more than a plot device for cool action scenes. Then we have Eliasville von Einsburn and her servant Hercules Berserker. berserker. As the daughter of Kiritsugu and Iris Veal in Fate Zero, Ilias Veal was set up to be one of the main players of FateStay Night. The introductions of Hercules and Emiya were done very well, and I personally thought that voice actress Stephanie Sheh, who you may know as the voice of Usagi Tsukino, aka Sailor Moon, did a very good job at making Emiya seem very menacing with a very soft and light-pitched voice. I absolutely loved the dynamic between Emiya and Hercules, and thought their shared origin story was very interesting. But then, all of my goodwill towards Unlimited Bladeworks' depiction of Emiya and Hercules instantly went down the drain once the characters were immediately killed off by Gilgamesh in the second season. The worst part about it was how they died, because while Hercules got to duke it out with Gilgamesh, Emiya didn't even put up a fight, which baffles me considering how Emiya gave Rin a run for her money in their season 1 fight scene by using the power she inherited from her mother. So instead of receiving a good death for Emiya as she fights off Gilgamesh, the audience is just forced to watch as Gilgamesh slaughters her. Now that I've gotten through all the minor disappointments I had with Unlimited Bladeworks, let's get to the real rant section of this video, starting with Kire Kotemine, voiced by Crispin Freeman. I honestly wish I had remembered to put Kire Kotemine on my list of standouts in Fate Zero because his character was absolutely incredible on that show. Seeing how Kire went from a novice mage to the surprise main antagonist of the show was amazing. However, Kire is unfortunately wasted in Unlimited Bladeworks. Crispin Freeman, who I've been a fan of since he voiced Red Arrow and Arsenal in Young Justice, does a good job for what he's given to work with, but that's not saying much considering how little screen time Kire has on the show. In fact, Kire Kotemine has so little screen time that none of the plot lines revolving around his character really end up making a significant impact on the series as a whole. He had zero chemistry with his servant, Lancer, and the revelation that Kire was another one of the main antagonists for Unlimited Bladeworks falls completely flat. And it's such a shame considering how incredible his arc was in Fate Zero. Next, we have Medusa Ryder. While she looked really cool and had amazing action scenes, her character, just like Emiya, was severely undercut by a rushed death scene. Although Medusa gets it much worse than Emiya, as she's killed off within 2 episodes of her debut. In the time Medusa's on screen, we never get to see her phantasmal beast or vehicle, so the audience has no clue why she's called Ryder. Heck, the show doesn't even reveal her identity before she's killed off, so literally, unless someone pays really close attention to the details of her design or does a Google search, they'll never know who this character is supposed to be. Finally, we made it to the last 2 gripes I had with the show. The Mato siblings, Sakura and Shinji. Question of the day, why are characters named Shinji in anime always so annoying? Yes, I know that Shinji is supposed to be one of those characters who's purposely written to be unlikable, but honestly, I think they went a little bit overboard because his character just came off as annoying to me. Also, I'm personally wondering how stupid Shinji needs to be as a mage in order for Kire Kotemine to successfully trick him into thinking Gilgamesh was his new servant after Medusa died. I mean, Shinji didn't even make a contract with Gilgamesh, so his command seal would have no effect on Gilgamesh whatsoever. As a character, Shinji just has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. He's whiny, he's selfish, and he's the type of character the audience would like to kick the crap out of every 15 minutes. I think the thing that aggravates me the most is that the show allowed Shinji's character to live at the end. There was no point in sparing his life. Rin should have just left him to die there, because we all know he's not going to change. He's still gonna be the crappy person who harasses women and abuses his sister Sakura. Speaking of Sakura, her character, at least in Unlimited Bladeworks, has to be the definition of pointless character setup. Honestly, I love Christina V as a voice actress, from her role as Killua in Hunter x Hunter, Morgiana in Magi, and Darkness in Konosuba, but I felt like her talents were completely wasted on this show. As someone who watched Fate Zero prior to Unlimited Blade Works, I was extremely disappointed by how Sakura was handled in Unlimited Blade Works, considering how much build-up there was to her character up to this point. As we know from Fate Zero, Sakura actually doesn't come from the Mato family bloodline, but rather the Tosaka family bloodline. However, Sakura's father, Tokiomi Tosaka, allowed the Matos to adopt Sakura in hopes that she would inherit their mage family crest and power. Since the Mato's planned heir, presumably Shinji, was incapable of magecraft and Tokiomi had already decided to give his family crest to Rin, he thought it would be a great way to ensure that both of his daughters became powerful mages. This decision becomes a catalyst to so many events in Fate Zero, and presumably would have set Sakura up as one of the main players in the 5th Holy Grail War. But alas, that didn't happen, and unfortunately, Sakura was reduced to nothing less than a background character. So at the end of the day, while FateStay Night is a very flawed anime, I still say it is overall a very good series. While the show still has its problems, I think that the good aspects of the show outweigh the bad aspects to a very large degree. If you're a fan of the Fate anime franchise, or just a fan of adult animation in general, I think FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works is a must-watch for you. In total, FateStay Night Unlimited Blade Works gets an 8.5 out of 10 in my book. So that concludes this review video. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this from me, make sure you leave a like on this video, hit the subscribe button, and share this video with others in order to help support my channel. Make sure to click the little bell icon when you subscribe to make sure you get notified every time I upload a new video. So without further ado, I will see you in the next video.